Hey, I got a lesson for Josh, one of my Seattle students out sick today. He's at home busily working on his minor scales. So I wanted to touch on a few different ways that I like to practice scales. I use these in my own playing and I advocate it with my students as well. So I'm going to use as the guinea pig the D minor scale for everything I show you today. D minor starting at the 5th fret on the A string. And the frets will be on the A string frets 5, 7, 8, D string 5, 7, 8, G string 5, 7, B string 5, 6, 8, E string 5, 6, 8. Come back down through all of that again, and then you can dip below where you started to the low E string fret 8, 6, 5, and then back up and end on that root again. D right there, 5th fret on the A string. Now any big 6-string pattern like that spans all 6 strings for one scale, you can probably come up with hundreds of different ways of playing it, different ways of legato and different rhythms, sequences going like 4 notes at a time, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back up 2, 3, 4, 5, and back up 3, 4, 5, 6. You can come up with all kinds of different things, but first, the first 8 things that I really advocate mastering before jumping into that more advanced stuff involve a couple of different ways of alternate picking and a couple of different ways of legato playing at different rhythms on each one of those. So to start with, the very first one, you start at the lowest root. In this case, the lowest root we have is D on the A string. We also have a root right here, 7th fret on the G string. Both of those are D. So we have 2 roots in this shape. The lower one here is where we're going to start first. So put it strict alternate picking, and I'm going to put it on a metronome. Metronome for everything. I've got my metronome at 120, but whatever level you're at in the scale, once you've got it memorized, put the metronome as slow as you need it to go to just run up and down, up and down, up and down, just for a minute or two. What I just played was 2 notes for every click. The click was doing quarter notes, and I was playing straight 8th notes, strict alternate picking, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Every downstroke was on the click, every upstroke was between the clicks. This is really important. You have to be strict all the way through, down, up, down, up, down, up. If you find yourself doing 2 downs in a row at any point, or 2 ups in a row at any point, slow it down a little bit. Make sure you're doing strict alternate picking. The second way is going to be pretty much exactly the same thing, but we're going to start on the higher root. So you notice if you stick with strict alternate picking, you get downstrokes on the same notes every time you go through it. So I start with a down here, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. When I hit that next root, it's on an upstroke. And when I'm going up and down like that, it'll always be on an upstroke. So to switch everything around and make sure every note gets equal treatment of downstrokes and upstrokes, we have to do it a different way. So I'm going to put the metronome back on, same tempo, and now I'm going to start at the higher root, right here. Also notice that every time I play it, I'm starting on a root, whether it's the low one or the high one. I ascend to the highest note in the position, which is not necessarily another root, and then I descend, turn around and descend to the lowest note, which is not necessarily a root, and then ascend back to where I started again. And if I want to do it over and over again, I can just keep ascending back to the top, to the bottom, to the top, to the bottom, to the top, to the bottom. And I make sure on the very last thing I do, I land back on that same root again. Same thing where I started. That's also my ending note. So the third way is going to involve triplets. So we were doing 8th notes. We were playing 2 notes for every click. Now we're going to play 3 notes for every click. So if you have the chops for it, you can just keep the metronome at the same tempo and just go faster. Or if you're pushing your speed already, just bring the tempo down. I'm going to bring mine down to 80 beats per minute. Notice when you do triplets, you're no longer doing downs on the clicks and ups between the clicks anymore. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. If you keep that alternate picking strict, it might throw your brain a little curveball when you do that. So you'll also notice I had to go through it 3 times to loop back to ending on the same note where I started on the beat again. Now the same thing starting at the higher root. I'll just do once through, you get the idea. So you would loop that over and over, up and down and up and down, end right where you started. Now for the final 4, we're going to ditch the alternate picking for some legato, which just means hammer-ons and or pull-offs. So we're going to be doing most of the work now in the left hand, in these little fingers, and on an acoustic guitar it's going to be pretty difficult to get those to ring out. If you've got an electric and you've got some distortion pumping through your amplifier, those will ring out nice and clear. But on acoustic it's a little more challenging. You need much stronger finger drops for those hammer-ons especially. So we're going to do exactly the same 4 variations as the first 4. Now it's just going to be all legato. So the trick with legato, the method that I'm using here, is I'll pick the first note on each new string. So I pick, say, the first root down here, D. Every other note on that string is going to be either a hammer-on or a pull-off. So if you're ascending, it's going to be hammer-ons. If you're descending, pull-offs. So I'll go pick, hammer-on, hammer-on, pick, hammer, hammer, pick, hammer, pick, hammer, hammer. So now I'm going to go back to my 8th notes, all legato now, starting on the low root. Back to 120 beats per minute. You might have noticed one more thing about the way I turn that scale around when I reach the top note and turn around, or when I reach the bottom note and turn around. So what I do is, as I'm ascending, I pick the top note again. So that'll be up to you if you want to do, as you're ascending, pick hammer, hammer, pull, pull, and then descend from there. I like the sound that I get to put another pick in there, so I get, and then at the bottom, I just like that little variation. So next method we'll be jumping back up to the high root. Same thing, legato, 8th notes, 120 beats per minute. The last 2, as you know, will be triplets, legato, once on the low root, once from the high root. I'll just do each of them once, back to 80 beats per minute. And from the high root. So there you have it. 8 different ways of practicing scales. Especially if you've got an electric, make sure you get some experience with that legato playing. Legato is pretty common on electric. On acoustic, it's less common when you're away from the nut. When you're playing open strings, you get a lot of these, or open chords rather. You get a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs down here. But with scales, definitely make sure you can do them in straight eighth notes, strict alternate picking, and in triplets, strict alternate picking. And then legato will be up to you. If legato is the kind of thing that you want to get into, you can definitely play a lot faster when you do that, and you get a different kind of feel, much more like a silky kind of feel. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or if you thought I included or excluded anything that you think I shouldn't have. Let me know your opinions. Take care.